Welcome, everyone, to our final candidate forum of the 2025 season. The Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce has been doing this with the News Tribune for nearly 20 years. And for the last 5, I have been honored. My name is Matt Baumgartner. I serve as the president of the Chamber to participate in this with the editorial board editor, Chuck Frederick, Neil Ronquist as publisher, and their editorial board. We take this privilege very, very seriously. It's quite an honor to be able to do this in my hometown. And I want to take a moment just to plug local news and how important it is. So please support local journalism so we can continue to have really important conversations like this. Communities bigger than ours don't have the benefit of being able to do this, and we are able to do that because of local journalism like the News Tribune. I also want to thank the Sports Garden, the Garden, for hosting. Angie has been around for the last 2 days and has done a wonderful job of making this a great space for our forums for the last couple of years. So if you're thinking about hosting something, consider Canal Park. I want to thank our media partners for being here. We have some elected officials with us. We still have school board members who are here. We have City Councilor Azreen Olah here with us. Thank you for being here. And I think that is it for elected officials. So thank you for making time and for being here. And the biggest thanks to our partner at the Duluth News Tribune. Thank you for being here. And Chuck Frederick, editorial board editor, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, again, thank you to everyone who is here. In about our 20 years of doing these annual fall forums, I'm not sure we've done one on a ballot question yet in quite this sort of setting. And we're going to do a little differently than we do the candidates. This is going to be, our intent here is to have more of a conversation, be a little open-ended. Matt and I don't have formal questions that we're going to be asking. We do have a list of topics we want to make sure we cover. The most important idea is to try to help educate voters on what exactly they'll be voting on November 4th. So with that, I'll introduce City Councilor Randorf to my left, and to her left is DyAnna Grondahl from Take Action, Minnesota, as a representative of the Duluth Tenants group. And I will ask Roz, maybe you can just start things off by giving us a little bit of your perspective on the issue. What exactly are people voting on, and what is the problem that we're trying to tackle? I think is a good base to start with.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Chuck, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. Happy birthday, Chuck. I know he didn't want me saying that, but I'm doing it.
Hold on now. Hold on.
Happy birthday.
Before we get started, can we sing to Chuck? Can we please sing?
No.
Yes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chuck. Happy birthday to you. First time we've done a forum on a ballot question. First time we've sung happy birthday at a forum.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Roz, when you get done explaining your position, we will editorialize against it.
Oh, ouch. Ouch.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Well, hopefully I debate better than I sing. Good afternoon. Welcome. Happy to be here. Thank you for being here for this important discussion. Let me begin with something that we all agree on. The City Council agrees on it. The Duluth Tenants Union agree on it. That is, all of our tenants in Duluth deserve safe and dignified housing. Every renter deserves that, and that's what we agree upon. Today, what we're going to be talking about is, we have this common goal, but maybe a different method to get there. And so the city ordinance, really, we created an ordinance that will put the responsibility onto the landlord where we feel it should be. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that today. That's what we've done. But more importantly than that is we did 2 ordinances when I worked with DyAnna over the last few months. We started last January when we were looking at this ordinance to say, can we do this? How can we do this? Before I realized we were running into a lot of legal stumbling blocks. So the city, in reaction to that, what we did is the city council brought forward 2 ordinances. One, we realized tenants didn't understand the current rights that they had under Minnesota Statute 504B. Do you realize we have one of the strongest states for tenant protections? They can at any time go in and apply for and put their rent aside, escrow their rent. and get the attention of that landlord to make those repairs. That is fully protected under their rights by the state of Minnesota. People didn't know about that. And so when we have all these tenants that were saying, hey, we've got problems, no one's listening, we needed to educate them on that. And we have what's called a landlord connection in Duluth, which we felt, you know what, our tenants didn't realize that existed either. They'll help them navigate sometimes that complex filling out forms, applying for rent escrow, getting the help they need for the protections that they currently have. So that's the first ordinance that we created. We need to educate these folks. We've got these protections. And second, we listened to DyAnna and her team. We listened to Take Action. We listened to Duluth Tenants, and we said, okay, we can firm up some of our local city ordinance around repairs. So we created one. Same 14 days. You have a problem in your apartment that is a quality of life or any problem, you let life safety know that landlord has 14 days to make that repair or order that repair. And if they don't do that, there is a Ordinance 2 violation now on that. Now, that new ordinance took place September 1st. So we're only into it, 14 days now, 15 days, 16 days? I don't have a lot of data on it, but what I can tell you is the City Council has been real responsive. Those are the 2 ordinance packages that we brought forward, and I think they're very effective.
Thanks. DyAnna?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you all for being here. It's really great to be in this space. So thanks again for the invitation. Good morning, all. My name is DyAnna Grondahl. I've spent the last 10 years renting here in Duluth, and I have been an organizer for Take Action Minnesota for over 5 of those years. And I'm the lead organizer of Duluth Tenants, which is a team of over 113 renters and growing from East to West Duluth who have talked with now tens of thousands of Duluthians over the past 2 years. And I'm here because no one should have to go to court or wait for an inspector just to get a basic repair done. Yet, that's what renters in Duluth are facing right now. I've heard from neighbors who have bats in their ceilings. I know a family trying to raise a baby with rats scurrying across their floor. I know an elder who slipped on a broken step, broke her hip, and then had to get her grandchild to call for help. And I am here because I once needed new locks for my own safety and just couldn't get them, no matter how much I asked. That's not okay, and that's what a lot of our neighbors are living with, and we need to do something about it. Duluth's housing is old. Half of it was built before 1940, and with our housing shortage, we cannot afford to lose a single unit to neglect. We all know a small leak can lead to caved ceilings, and a broken lock today becomes a safety risk tomorrow, and Duluth Right to Repair is Home Maintenance 101. Fix the problems while they are small, before they put students, seniors, young professionals, families, and other renters at risk. This is a common solution, and we've been overwhelmed by the support we're receiving through signature collection this spring and on the doors now. I was just knocking doors in Gary on Sunday with Donna, and in less than 2 hours, 8 people asked me for a yard sign. Duluthians get it. No one wants to be stuck waiting for a simple repair they need in their homes, and they don't want their neighbors to be stuck either. Right to Repair is simple and exists in over 30 other states and cities. Renters notify their landlord and wait 14 days, and if our landlord does nothing, we can take action to remedy the repair. Just like a homeowner buying a cabinet doorknob or calling an electrician for a flickering light in their basement. That's safe, that's responsible, that's timely. This ordinance was brought together by a whole bunch of Duluthians who really love and care about this town and take the problems we and our neighbors are experiencing seriously. Nearly 6,000 Duluthians signed to put it on the ballot, renters, homeowners, and landlords alike, because we all know our community deserves safe and dignified homes. I encourage everybody to vote yes to pass Duluth Right to Repair so we can join the 30 states and cities who are already using this tool to maintain their housing and support their tenants to get their repairs.
Thank you. DyAnna, there's a lot of issues we're going to get to, but you heard Councilor Randorf talk about the actions, the ordinances the city has already passed. Why do you feel those aren't enough or those fall short?
Great question, Chuck. Thank you. Duluth Right to Repair gives tenants a tool in their toolbox to get repairs done quickly without having to call an inspector or a lawyer. And where we're at with the policy right now, where we're at with the policies that are on the books right now, Duluth Tenants or Duluth Right to Repair begins the day we notify our landlords of the repair that we need, and the city doesn't need to be involved unless a landlord disputes that a repair is needed. Whereas right now, the first call that we're supposed to make is to life safety, to a department that is doing incredibly admirable work, but is knee-deep in a gnarly backlog. And when my oven is broken and my landlord is ghosting me, I don't want to call a lawyer. I don't want to bother an inspector to have to wait another 2 weeks to get a response from my landlord. I want to call a repair person, get it done, and move on with my life. Or I want my landlord to just take care of it. And that's what Duluth Right to Repair will do.
Thanks. And Roz, kind of the same way, the right to repair, what we're voting on, why do you oppose that?
Thank you, Chuck. And let me paraphrase that question if I can. So the council brought forward a 14-day ordinance that the renter finds a problem. They let life safety know within 14 days. That landlord has to take action, or they face a level 2 ordinance violation of a $200 violation that'll compound every 14 days up until if that landlord is still not complying, they could lose their rental license. We've got their attention. So the question is why in the world would Duluth Tenants Union and Take Action, which is a political advocacy group, not say, thank you, Duluth City Council, this fits the bill. This is good, because I was willing to work with them. I worked with them all the way up to March. I guess I don't have the answer to that question as to why this ordinance isn't that fit. Because here's what their ordinance actually does. The ballot measure on the surface sounds appealing. It's that no-nonsense language. It's that common sense premise. But when you're fixing an electrical problem in an apartment and you don't have that landlord's permission to get to the electrical panel, there is no repair there. I get it. The doorknob, maybe you can fix the doorbell, maybe you can change a light bulb. But the premise of your entire ballot measure it puts the tenant in danger. If damage occurs during the repair process, or if a contractor hired to work through the system causes harm, tenants themselves are liable, facing lawsuits, facing debt, even eviction, and they have to front the money to do this. Which tenants who are running on a shoestring budget can now find the money to make repairs? That's not protection, that's a trap. So I think, Chuck, you have a very good question. I don't know why the City Council ordinance isn't the correct fit. I don't know what the story behind this story truly is, but tenants deserve real solutions, not feel-good measures. Let's not leave them exposed. Vote no in November.
Thank you, DyAnna. Yeah, please respond.
Awesome. The council's ordinance sounds really nice, but it continues to leave renters waiting. Their 14-day clock doesn't even start until an inspector shows up. Right to repair starts the day a renter notifies their landlord of a repair that they need. There's a huge difference between waiting for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, or even 2 months. And let's play this out for a second, and then I'm going to talk about liability. I came home, and there's a broken lock on my back door. I request the repair, and it's been a few days, and I've been losing some sleep worrying about the broken lock on my door, and this has happened to me. I still haven't heard back from my landlord, so I open up the life safety website to get to the tenant complaint form, and one of the first things that I see is that they're dealing with a high call volume, and I need to be patient. So before I even have made my complaint, I'm being asked to wait, but I understand. You look at the form and you see that you can only submit your complaint after waiting 2 full weeks to hear back from your landlord. So you're stuck. I'm stuck. I'm waiting to hear back from my landlord, and I'm waiting to file a complaint with Life Safety. Finally, after 2 weeks, I can file my complaint with Life Safety, and within a couple of days, I get an email hearing back that an inspector will be out in the next couple of days. Great. I take a few hours off work so that I can meet them at my apartment, show them the broken lock. The inspector comes, confirms my complaint, and then sends a note to my landlord that they need to address the lock issue. The clock starts then. And so I can wait up to another 2 weeks alongside Life Safety for my landlord to then respond to our complaint. after you've already waited over 2 weeks to fix the broken lock on your door. That's nearly a whole month worrying about the back door that doesn't lock and losing sleep. And when it comes to liability, the point of this policy is to make sure renters are safe and protected and can get common repairs addressed in a timely manner without having to go to court. The policy was written to make sure of that. It specifically addresses liability, and it's not an issue within the 30 states and cities where this has been a law in some places for even decades. And the way it does that is nothing new or fancy. It is the same as it is for landlords and homeowners. For repairs that require a licensed contractor, that contractor is liable. And for repairs that don't, like a $40 lock set or putting knobs on your bathroom cabinets, you can actually open them after taking a hot shower. The tenant is liable, just like a landlord or a homeowner would be. This is about making sure renters have a common sense tool to get repairs addressed within a cost limit. We're talking about doorknobs and shower heads, and only in the event that our landlord does not take action within those first 2 weeks to remedy, schedule, or dispute the repair.
So I'm hearing some things about timing kind of being one of the issues there, and maybe we can come back to that. But I'd like to move to something that both of you have alluded to subtly or overtly, which is legal concerns around this and allowing tenants to arrange their own repairs. So what I'm hearing is you're citing a couple examples that are from other states and jurisdictions. Do we have any idea about Minnesota law around a tenant working through a tenant improvement, and all of a sudden they're fixing a shower head, but something gets bumped with plumbing, and now you've gone through the floor into the apartment below you? Thousands of dollars of damage. Who's liable for that? And then I have follow-ups to that. And so, Roz, I'll start with you.
Thank you so much. The tenant is absolutely liable for that. And any contractor worth their snuff with any kind of licensing wouldn't even touch that job, knowing that could be the cause. Let's talk about liability here. They want to talk about Chicago and they want to talk about Maine a lot. So did some searching. There has been some court cases in which the tenants have lost. In Maine, now we do have a handful, and I'm going to call them right to repair flavored ordinances across the country. Some of them, like in North Dakota, are very soft. It's $100. There's no written notice. These others are $100. Some of them are $500. But again, they're flavored the right to repair. But let's take a look at Maine and Chicago. Treadworthy family versus Evans. The tenant withheld a portion of for infestation. The landlord responded using a pest control company. The tenant withholding was not justified. The court affirmed insufficient proof by the tenant. This is a strong cautionary tale. Unless you can show the landlord he didn't do prompt effective repair, the court will fine for the landlord. Let's not put these tenants, we don't want to make tenants contractors or litigants here. Let's lean on the city council. Let's make the city, you got to call the city, but let's make the city responsible and life safety responsible for this. Let's not make our tenants litigants here. Chicago, let's take a look at Gillette versus Anderson, the appellate court case. The tenant claims premises were in violation of certain sections of Chicago Housing Code. The tenant lost the case, failing to properly show the violation met the burden. Tenant had to pay back rent. Another one, Bacadin versus Ferguson. They were evicted for non-payment. What happened? The tenant withheld rent. Again, case after case, let's not put them in jeopardy. We cannot, again, make our tenants be the contractor. It's like you're the patient and the surgeon at the same time. That isn't protection. And no matter how much we want to talk about it, but guess what? Your lock is still, you're still going to wait 14 days for the lock broken on your door. I don't think one day would have been good enough for that. I would have probably fixed that lock that day if I lived in that apartment. But yes, the 14 days, let's protect the tenants. The ballot measure does not do that.
DyAnna?
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that there have been a small handful of folks that have had this experience. And that's devastating. And 1 or 2 or 3 bad experiences across decades of policy does not determine the success or failure. Duluth Right to Repair is a common sense tool tested and used in over 30 states and cities. And after doing over a year of research with housing policy experts here in the state of Minnesota who've had their fingerprints on all of the excellent tenant laws passed at our state in the past few years, we came to the solution that Duluth renters need is Duluth right to repair. And I just want to add on the retaliation front, I am glad to hear that we're not the only ones who are worried about renters being retaliated against. And that's exactly why we sought out the experts to write our ordinance to protect renters from retaliation. And Duluth right to repair gives us a safe legal path to results within 14 days.
Continuing on, did you have a response, Rob?
I just want to talk about that safe and legal path, and I want to talk about that team of attorneys that I keep hearing about. I worked with one attorney when I was working with Take Action. Her name was Jessica Zuminski, very nice woman. She's been doing, she's been in her firm for its Tenants Action, or I can't remember the name of the firm she works for, and she also works for Take Action for the last 3 years. We did take a look at her draft ordinance. In fact, 5 attorneys on the city side took a look at it when I was trying to work with DyAnna saying, is there a way in which we can legally bring this forward? Is there a way we can change wording so make this legally and sound? And when I brought a bulleted list to Attorney Zuminski, she gave me reasons why they couldn't make changes. And when I brought it to DyAnna, basically they said, if we change the spirit of the ordinance, they weren't interested in working with the city council. For me, I find that I don't find that responsible, and I do not believe that their ordinance is legally sound at all. And I think if it does pass, what we'll find is we're going to find this is going to be hung up in the courts because the landlords and tenants and all of the, even HUD, when you look at, we have a lot of housing that is supported housing. Their funding comes from housing urban development. Their metric for how they get funding is based on rent. If we have all of our affordable housing units, all of our supportive housing, all of our external and internal units starting to withhold rent, we will lose funding and we will lose those supportive units. So this is dangerous on so many fronts, not just on the tenant. It's dangerous on multiple fronts.
So we're going to keep with the legal side of it. So if you had something, you could tie it into this. There are concerns from affordable housing groups, HRA, One Roof, City Center, the building trades and unions, and their concerns are around to synthesize it down. If a tenant were to have a repair done by a non-approved, non-union, in some cases, contractor or tradesperson, that they would lose some funding or procurement ability because of how they are regulated. Can either of you speak to that? And DyAnna, I'll give you the first chance, and then Councilor Randorf the second.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Matt. I want to just clarify, Jessica Sheminski is a policy attorney for the Housing Justice Center, which is one of the foremost housing expertise firms in the state of Minnesota. And we also worked with a few other folks who work there. She does not work for Take Action Minnesota. And I thought I have her response to your questions and her follow-up response to your questions here. And I thought she did an incredible job addressing concerns. And we really worked hard, especially when we were trying to figure out, like, okay, do we do 14 days or do we do 10 days or do we do $1,000 or $500? I had conversations with folks from the Landlords Association and folks with other who do work in the nonprofit housing providers, agencies, and I have continued to show up in conversation with those folks to really get to the bottom of what are people's concerns. And so what I want to say about concerns about losing procurement, of all of the people in our base who are renting right now, who are renting, with those center cities, with those places, I do want to commend that those places do a great job in taking care of their repairs within the 2-week window. And so I understand why folks would have, or actually, no, I feel pretty confident that Duluth Right to Repair would not actually lead to that.
Thank you. I could just make just a quick comment on that. I remember sending that bulleted list to Attorney Szymanski, and I was really in the mindset of helping Duluth Tenants and Take Action put together a legal and lawful ordinance that I could bring to the City Council and we could pass ideally unanimously. But I ran into legal stumbling blocks and I couldn't get through to the attorney. They did not want to make changes on their ordinance. So that tenant liability kept coming up over and over again. So we as a council went back to the table and we said, okay, if we did this, it's needed. You made your case. Let's do this. We can improve in Duluth. We hear you. This is an important issue. How do we create an ordinance that is legal and lawful, putting the legal responsibility back onto that landlord where it belongs? That's what you saw us do. Again, we tried to match everything that the Duluth Tenants Union had: the 14-day window, the penalties, making sure we were protecting the tenant at the same time. So absolutely, the ballot measure is wrought with legal problems, and it will put our tenants at risk.
Thanks. I'm gonna jump in quick, ma'am.
Well,
Sorry.
can I just have Roz? So DyAnna, at the end, I heard you say that DyAnna. Thank you. That the HRA, One Roof, City Center, groups like that, trades unions, that you are not concerned that they would be impacted because they do a good enough job of getting into these quick enough. So that's a subjective take on it. These groups are very concerned. Councilor Randorf, can you respond with what you've heard in talking to these groups?
Absolutely. When we talk alone, just with Jill Keppers, the executive director of HRA, is extremely concerned. When you think of the potential, all of our affordable housing units, these are highly supportive units for tenants. When we talk about 40% of our tenants, we have tenants in town, imagine the ones that are the most vulnerable. Our most vulnerable tenants could be at risk with a policy like this. Imagine losing your HUD funding for the city of Duluth because we put forward ballot measures that are misunderstood and we lose funding across the city. That is called unintended consequences. No matter how feel-good we want this to be, no matter how many times we want to paint this as this is just a doorknob, this is just a feel-good change, this is a real change with real consequences. And if we don't get this right, we could lose funding for HUD.
Thank you. Chuck, back over to you.
Thanks. I know, Matt, I know you want to ask a question about the process that brought us here, and I'm going to let you ask that question in a minute because you word it far more eloquently than I can, but I just want to try to understand something. So what if this passes? What if the voters approve this on November 4th? How does that jibe with what's already on the books, what the council has done recently? And I know, Raj, you said it was going to end up in the courts, you think, but maybe, DyAnna, maybe you can answer that one first. How does this... What happens?
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Okay, so what it will look like, Duluth Right to Repair is, when it passes, will be just a simple common sense tool in renters' toolboxes to get their repairs done in a more timely manner and let us act before minor issues become costly problems. We request our repair, and if in 14 days, and only if in 14 days, we haven't heard from our landlord to make or schedule the repair, we can remedy the repair in a workmanlike manner and deduct it from the cost from our rent within a cost limit of $500 or a half month's rent. And so it really will just click in addition to all of the other policies on the books to support renters having another tool in their toolbox.
Raj, do you agree that it would jibe with what's on the book?
Absolutely not. Here's the common sense way this works out. If the ballot measure passes, it usurps anything that the council did. So this goes into effect. Now, if there's any problem with that ordinance, if we later find, whoopsie, yep, Roz, you were right, this isn't working as planned, we have to take that back to the voters to make any changes. This puts us in a very difficult position. Now, if we vote no on the ballot measure and say, yes, city council do this, and we can make tweaks along the way, we can make changes as we see. We need more of this. We need to change this. That gives the city council the flexibility to do work that you guys elected us to do, and that is to create policy that protects the citizens of the Duluth and especially our renters.
So just for clarification, if this passes November 4th, the council has no authority to amend as they typically would as the deliberative body. It would have to go back to getting signatures to get back onto the ballot to make any changes?
Correct. It is the power of the people at this point. And so, again, it's their 3,700 signatures. They only needed, I think, 2,600 to do it or 2,500 to do it. They got 3,700. I think they had 6,000 total, but many of those folks were not either in Duluth or couldn't be certified. But yes, that is the jeopardy that we're in when we have ballot measures like this. They're very strict and they're very hard to change.
Knowing that many ordinances are amended, can you speak to that?
Roz said it herself. It's the power of the people.
And when the power of the people need to be amended?
We'll do what we have to do, but we are incredibly confident that this policy and all of the research and legal expertise that went into it will be just the right solution to support renters getting their repairs in a more timely manner.
But is that what happens in other communities? I think you've mentioned 30 states and communities or cities that have a right to repair bill. If something needs to be tweaked with that ordinance in those cities, has it been going back to voters then? Or first it has to go back to the doors to get names on petitions, right?
So in all of the 30 states and cities, I have the copy of the 21 states right here that have right to repair. Folks have, by and large, won awesome right to repair measures. Like in Virginia, you have 1 month's rent in 14 days. In Rhode Island, you've got $500 for 20 days and things like that. And so folks have passed right to repair in over 30 states and cities across the country through a variety of ways, because by and large, people understand that they want their neighbors, they want their families, they want themselves to be able to get the repairs that they need in their homes.
Were they in states or cities that are ballot initiative areas, or were these done by the deliberative representative bodies?
It's a mix of both.
Okay.
And the other thing I can say on that, Matt, is I can tell you for a fact none of them were as strong as Minnesota in their Statute 504B and their tenant protections that currently exist, which is why you're seeing Duluth as the only outlier here, the only one talking about this in the state of Minnesota. Here, let's talk about something that's really important and something we shouldn't brush by, and that's unintended consequences, which is what this ballot measure is full of. There are many examples of ordinances that were passed that should have been, like Matt, you're talking about, amended. They had good intentions, but ended up creating unintended consequences. Let's talk about rent control in St. Paul. Reduced his housing supply. We're already seeing it because landlords converted renting units into condos to stop maintaining the properties. Another policy was called 3 Unrelated. It was an occupancy rule to avoid overcrowding. The unintended consequence there, limited affordable housing for students and people. There's a lot of reasons why unrelated people live in the same apartment. That pushed them to less safe, more expensive alternatives. Unintended consequence. Another one, in the 90s, mandatory recycling. Cities faced massive costs for processing unsorted recyclables. Much of the waste ended up in the landfill anyways. So again, this measure is wrought with unintended consequences. Our goal, again, the spirit is the same. We want to protect tenants, but let's do this under a controllable, under a changeable, under the policymakers that we currently have and the machine that's here in Duluth, and it's enforceable. Our life safety division can enforce it. Our landlords can be held responsible. Fines can be $200 and they can be compounded. Again, let's not make our tenants the contractor, which you're going to be waiting more than 14 days for those people, and the litigant.
Thank you. While we're on kind of the subject of ballot initiatives, so this is a ballot initiative because there was an inability to reach alignment. Not just, we're not always going to find consensus or purity tests, but alignment on an initiative. And it sounds like the biggest divergence was around the amount of days. So we were able to get a proportion of signatures from the last election, which had 12,000 out of 55,000 registered voters vote. So it's going to the ballot. Do we want to become a ballot initiative community? Do we want to no longer utilize our representative democracy and go direct democracy? And the unintended consequences there being pendulum swing. Are we going to be dealing with bathroom issues like other states have? Are we going to be dealing with book bans here? So I don't know who wants to take that first, but I would open it up to either of you to answer that. Ballot initiatives will become more frequent if we become comfortable with that route of direct democracy rather than representative democracy. Councilor Randorf, take that first.
It's in our charter, first of all. So if there's any changes that you want, you have to go to the charter and you have to make that change. They followed a process that was clearly defined. And it was
Yep. So just for clarification for everybody here, not questioning changing the charter, but just as a matter of practice, do we want to, if we don't feel, we bring something to the city council and the city council says, we're going to do we agree with you. Here's our ordinance for that. But it's not a consensus with what you want. It's not pure with what you want. So we're going to take this to the ballot instead.
Thanks to the question, Matt. I came prepared to talk right to repair. I don't want to open that Pandora's box. I don't have a fully vetted opinion on that yet today. So I'll pass it on to DyAnna.
Yeah. Thank you for this question, Matt. I think it's important. And I just want to name, I have been disappointed to not have more counselors on our team as we've brought these issues forward and brought many tenants. Like I said in my opening, our team of 113 tenants, 54 of whom volunteered to collect all of those signatures, almost 6,000 signatures in less than 50 days, who know what their neighbors and friends are going through, to put this issue on the ballot. And what I am here to talk about today is why all those people showed up every day. And they showed up because of their building mate, Deb, who, slipped on a step that was broken, that she'd requested the repair multiple times and then broke her hip. And they're talking about the people who have complained about their broken porch railing over and over again for their landlord to come back, stick it in the hole and say, that's good enough, that their child is worried about falling down those stairs until that child falls down the stairs and breaks their rib. And we're also talking about the people who have to take their inhalers. My friend, our member Molly, her roommate has to take her inhaler every day because their bathroom fan is broken and they can't get it fixed. So that's why Duluth needs right to repair, so that renters have another simple, common sense tool in their toolbox to get those repairs done before they become bigger issues.
If I can maybe comment on that, Matt, we're hearing a lot about all of these problems, these poles, these slipping, the doorknobs. We're hearing a lot of them. So what I did is I had Greg Smith, our life safety manager, pull the report. Now, this has been in the news a lot in the last few months. So you would assume, like I would, that the reports to life safety would increase because tenants are starting to learn, I can call life safety and they're going to get action on this, because that is frustrating. I don't want to fall into a hole. I don't want to wait for repair. Let's take a look. In April alone, where this was in the paper, we had 2 people reach out to life safety, and those cases were resolved. In May, 4, in June, 1, in July, 3, now in August. Now we're building up. We're talking about the ballot measure. They got their signatures. In August, we had 5 complaints. We're talking about bed bugs. We're talking about stove and furnace red tagging, a urine odor, collapsing ceiling panel, a leaking window, a pigeon, and a broken window. All of these were resolved. Now, if we had dozens and dozens more, if we had a room full of people, if we had 80 people, they're all raising their hands saying we have problems, they're not going through our current process as it sits. I don't know why. When I worked with Take Action and Duluth Tenants Union, and I told them, I said, listen, I'm going to help you on this. Give me 5 people where their rental problems would be solved by the ordinance you have in front of me. I got goose egg. The stories that we're hearing in the News Tribune, the ceiling panels, the ceiling fell into my Cheerios. That isn't a $500 repair. That is a rent escrow repair. We're not going through the right doors. I still believe this is an education issue. What we should have is we should have a full-on education policy that says every renter needs to know who they need to call and where they need to go. And they need to go to our tenant landlord connection to be able to get the remedies they need. 5 people in September now. Okay, now the city council ordinance took place. We only have 2 people, and that was the pigeon and the broken window. So we're not seeing the volume of complaints that the Duluth Tenants Union and Take Action keep talking about. There isn't a line up outside this room of people that have repairs. Now, if there is, they're not saying anything. So the policy then isn't about the time. It's not about the money. It's not about the power. It's about fear. It's about them not feeling comfortable to do that. I can tell you what's going to give them a lot of fear is when they go ahead and make the repair themselves, take it out of their check, hand the landlord a check minus $500, and they're going to see fear because they're going to now see, I need my money, you broke the lease, let's go to court, you may be evicted. That's fear. So if this is the fearless door or the fearless proposal or ballot measure, I think we're sorely mistaken.
So if people aren't following the process as it's written now, if this were to pass, what efforts would be made to educate renters about the new process? They don't know about the current process. How will they know about the new process?
All right. Well, I first want to respond to what Roz had to say. We've got 91 complaints active in our base right now of people who are trying to get their repairs done and are in the progress of making their life safety complaints. And some of them are like, DyAnna, I'm not going to call the fire department to get my microwave in my unit fixed. Like, they've got this backlog. I don't want to add to that burden. And even though life safety has done an incredible job addressing the backlog, and I've met with Greg Smith, I've met with Sean Krasage, or Fire Chief Sean Krasage, and I've met with Deputy Chief Otis multiple times. Yes, they're going to be at our meeting on October 7th because we know that renters need to be able to use this process, and they'll need to be able to be confident in accessing life safety when Duluth Right to Repair passes too. And the reality is when you're dealing with a complaint, and you go to the life safety website and you see that you have to wait, a lot of people are like, you know what? I just want to fix this and move on with my life. People don't want to have to call an inspector to get their oven fixed. They don't want to have to call a lawyer to get their bathroom fan fixed. They want to call a repairman and get it done, or they want their landlord to take action and address their repairs within that first 14-day window, which is why what the beauty of Right to Repair is that it acknowledges and dignifies the shared relationship and the shared responsibility that tenants and landlords have in caring for our homes. And we really care for our homes, and supports if Duluth Right to Repair works really well, people's repairs will just get done before we have to call life safety, before we have to call a lawyer.
I just want to make a quick response on this 90 people that are in the waiting queue. And if we're really tenant focused and really want the best for our tenants and we're not helping them reach the right people and make a phone call, I don't see that as being tenant first. I'm going to make a challenge. All those 90 people, call me. My phone number is published. I'm the city councilor. I will help you navigate this process. You know what'll happen? My phone will not ring. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say there isn't 90 people in the queue, but we're not seeing it. I'm not getting an email. I'm not getting a call. I've made this offer multiple times. I represent the 3rd District. Downtown, I have got many, many apartments in my district. I'm here to help. I'm hearing crickets.
So how did this become an issue in Duluth then? So, because I'm hearing there's no concern around HRA, one roof, city center, no union concerns. There is life safety doing a great job. The council put forth 2 ordinances. It sounds like the divergence is around the number of days. How did this become an issue that was brought forth?
For this question, Matt. Duluth Tenants got started out of an effort to talk with our neighbors across the city of Duluth. We started in 2023 and had many conversations, knocked 2,000 doors, made like 40,000 phone calls and talked to a lot of folks about the issues they were experiencing in their homes. And over again, we heard folks say, I'm trying to get this repair done and I can't get it done. Or, this broken porch board or this or that or the other thing. We heard from a ton of folks about the issues that they were experiencing. And we started gathering as a tenants union and meeting over potlucks, talking about what is it that we can do as renters to support each other, to make sure we get our repairs together. And so we have been actively organizing ourselves to request our repairs and to, make those life safety requests and be the best at getting our repairs together, all while also fighting for right to repair, because we recognize that Duluth renters need another tool in our toolbox to get our repairs done And we need to do that in order to preserve our aging housing stock. And so it has happened. It came about through thousands of conversations. I even have the results of last spring. We did a survey and heard from hundreds of renters about the repairs that they're either going without now or have gone without in the past, and they want to make sure nobody has to go through that again.
Let me follow up on that. We heard the words rent control today. It came up yesterday in one of our city council forums that Take Action Minnesota, their ultimate goal or their ulterior motive is to push rent control in Duluth. Is there any truth to that? How would you address that?
This is not rent control, and I'm here today to talk about Duluth Right to Repair, which is a common sense tool to support renters getting the repairs that they need in our homes.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered that question. I think I would phrase the question as, take action Duluth after this ballot measure goes through. How soon before you bring your second ballot measure, which is rent control? Will we see that from you?
I would answer the question the same way. We are not working on rent control. This is not rent control. We started Duluth Right to Repair, the campaign, because there were many of us who are struggling to get the repairs that they need in our homes, including a moldy pantry, a broken shower, and a crack that led to an injury in the floor. We are here today to talk about Duluth Right to Repair, which is a policy that renters and homeowners and landlords across Duluth have been overwhelmingly supportive of when we were on the doors and when we were collecting signatures.
So we're not hearing that it's not coming, because social media has been pretty clear. We heard that first it's this, then it's rent control. And that's been the concern in council conversations and other conversations that have come up. So you're not saying that's not the case, just that right now you're focused on right to repair.
All I'm talking about is right to repair. All that I'm fighting for in Duluth is right to repair, because there are folks across this city who need to get their repairs done in a more timely manner and need to have another tool in their toolbox to be able to do that. And I've talked with thousands. Like I said, I was just talking to folks who are living in a mobile home park in Gary who were like, yes, I'm dealing with these hornets and I haven't been able to make it happen. And so I was like, all right, I'll connect you with our repairs team now so that you can get a follow-up from Cody and Natalie and get connected to life safety. And, here's our volunteer list so that you can come knock doors with us and talk to your neighbors too and join our team, because everybody who cares about safe and stable housing is welcome to be a part of our team and welcome to help us set the agenda of what's coming next. Right now, we are razor sharp and totally focused on Duluth Right to Repair because we've talked to tens of thousands of people and we know that's what we need.
Councilor Randorf, were you going to?
So you mentioned this list of 90 people who have repairs they need to make. I'm assuming these are people who've contacted the Duluth Tenants Union. Why hasn't it gone to Life Safety Office in City Hall?
There's a handful of folks, and I'm not the best person to talk about with this. If you want to talk about repairs, you got to talk to our stunning volunteer repairs team who are calling and texting and reaching out and working directly with folks to talk about, you request your life safety or you make a life safety complaint. This is what it's going to look like. If you want somebody to be in your apartment with you when you meet the inspector, I'll show up. I'll be there with you. And so we've been actively working to work that system. And we remain super committed to working that while also fighting for Duluth Right to Repair, which we truly and utterly believe is a common sense tool that will really support renters getting what they need here in Duluth.
Thank you.
What will be the ballot language?
It's on the Secretary of State's website. I don't have it directly in front of me, but City Attorney Terry Lair wrote it and did a beautiful job encapsulating the ordinance.
Roz, do you know what that ballot language is? Okay.
Helpful. I would be happy to go acquire it and send it for follow-up if that's helpful for folks.
Well, I'm sure that we can tie it into the DNT stuff that is being published. So yeah.
I think I'm encouraged, of course, that everyone agrees that, we all deserve safe housing. We all deserve to be able to have repairs made quickly, and you have the two different approaches here. Is there any way, instead of, it's too late now because it's going to be on the ballot, but is there common ground? Could we reach some sort of a consensus? Could we reach a compromise outside of that? Could we have?
We have been so overwhelmed by support. We've knocked almost 7,000 doors this summer, and folks are by and large really excited, one, to have a neighbor come talk to them at their door and say, hey, it's a tough world out there. How you doing? Here's something that people are doing to make sure that we Duluthians continue to honor our city value of we care for each other and we get stuff done. And folks have been really, really excited to support us, to say, yes, count me in. I will be there to vote on election day, before election day. I vote by mail. And tons of folks are requesting yard signs. We just had to order a bunch more because, we don't have enough, which is a really, really good problem to have. Folks, Duluthians get it. They don't want their neighbors, their friends, their family to have to wait to get common sense repairs done in their home. And they see this for the common sense tool that it will be for Duluthians.
Well, go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I'm still stuck on this whole idea there's 90 people waiting, that they knock on all these doors, that they're having a groundswell of people that are having problems. And we're not seeing it. The phones of life safety are not ringing. I hope. I heard a few repairs here in the room even that are not on my sheet. I hope we're telling folks that have a problem to call life safety. That is their most direct remedy. I get it. We want to get a sign in the yard. We want to get them to join the union. We want them to wear a T-shirt. But please, when we're working with tenants and we're working with someone that has a direct need, please send them to life safety. We are not seeing the numbers. I'm not seeing even the repairs that are listed in this room on my life safety report. In fact, like I said, when you guys had the ballot measure, you'd think the phones would be ringing because this thing became so popular in the media. And we have 5. And so ballot measures are costly. They're costly to bring through the city. They're costly for us as taxpayers to run this machine. And again, they're hard to change at the end. So I hope this isn't just about a game of politics, a game of winning, a game of strategy, a game of this is our first bite at the apple. It's going to be right to repair. Our second bite of the apple is going to be rent control. I hope that's not the game we're playing, because in the end, the people who are going to lose this battle are tenants. And then the tenants that don't have the wherewithal to be able to join a union. They're the ones that are unable to follow a process. Chuck, you asked a really good question, and I want the answer for it. If this ballot measure passes, how will people find out what the rules are? Because you know what? If you don't notify your landlord in writing and give them 14 days before you make a repair, if you don't follow all the steps that are involved, you will wind up in court. How will our tenants find out this process?
I just want to be super clear. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to pass Duluth right to repair so that renters across the city of Duluth can get common repairs done in their homes in a more timely manner, whether it is taking care of a window that doesn't close or a door that doesn't lock or a broken screen. And I just want to really shout out the captain of our repairs team, Cody Pals, who is here and who has done an excellent job engaging with people in the process and really preparing folks to file their life safety complaints. We are incredibly excited to host the life safety team on October 7th at our tenant meeting. And we're also hosting, and we have hosted events where folks can come and we encourage them. We say, this is what it looks like to file a life safety complaint. And so we are incredibly clear about the tools at our disposal, and we're incredibly clear that one more tool that all renters need across the city of Duluth is Duluth Right to Repair.
I'll ask my question again because I didn't find the answer in that statement, and that is, of the 40,000 renters in this city, how are they going to find out the specific loopholes, the legal process that they need to follow in order to be legal and lawful under your ballot measure?
Thank you for this question, Ross. Much of it will fall into it. Like I said earlier, this policy will nestle within the rights that we have brokered by the state and the rights that we have here in the city. And I'm sure that I thank you for that question. I don't have a clear answer for you on that, but I can get you one, and I'll follow up in terms of like the legal specifics. And it's going to look a lot like it looks right now, where if you request a repair and you take it to life safety, but your landlord still isn't following up, then you can take it to escrow, or you can follow up through the processes that be right now. That's how I'd answer that question.
Thank you for that answer. I could answer it as well, and that is they won't know. Just like they don't know the number to life safety, they're not using the Minnesota Statute 504B protections, which are the best in the country. They won't know. Once that ballot measure is approved, there is no mechanism in the city to educate 40,000 people on how to use a process. So the answer is they won't know. They won't use the right process, and it'll wind up in court. And the judge will say, let me look at what that ballot measure says. Oh, you have to give in writing the landlord 14-day notice. And they will have fines. They will have late rent payments. They will be maybe on an eviction list. They will be on a don't rent list. And are we thinking that our tenants that are on a shoestring budget can navigate that process? I think that's incredulous.
Hearing your statement, I'm realizing I misunderstood your question. So thank you for clarifying. I want to be clear. Nobody should have to go to court for a broken doorknob or a simple fix. And we have an extremely well-organized and committed team of volunteers and tenants across the city of Duluth who are making sure every Duluthian knows to vote yes for Duluth Right to Repair by November 4th. And that same team of Duluthians, member-led and volunteer, is going to make sure that everybody in Duluth knows about Duluth Right to Repair.
On the city side, here's how it works when we make policy on the city council side, and we have to tell our residents whether it's about snow shoveling, ordinance changes, right to repair issues. We just passed an ordinance that will educate all the tenants about their curb protections under Minnesota 504B, as well as the tenant-landlord connection. We put it in an ordinance. That means there's a level 2 ordinance violation if all of our landlords by January 1st don't update their leases. It takes time. That's why we made it January 1st. That means our life safety team had to compile the language, get out to all the landlords, have their list of landlords. The same with this ballot measure. Someone has to go through and notify tenants, tell them the specific language, what loopholes they have to go through. And if you're telling me that legal process is on the backs of a group of volunteers, again, I think that is a failed process. That's a failed system. This should be, please, use the city council. We've fully vetted with a team of 5 attorneys of the city the language that's in this ordinance. This is the same protections. Again, I have a side-by-side analysis of this if you'd like a copy. The same 14 days. But this time, the landlord's responsible to make the repairs. There's violations if they don't. We're going to get those locks repaired. We're going to get that pole replaced or the floor replaced. And so, but we have to use the current systems. On this ballot measure, no systems, no funding, no staff, no structure.
Thank you both for a wonderful conversation around something that is very unique and novel to our area. And I think that's why there's a lot of questions around this, some that appear might need some follow-up and some response. And I was able to pull up the state statute, so we'll make sure that with the DNT that we have that available, because there is some stuff about it in writing with the landlord and things like that. But I would like to give you each a chance just to say a few closing words. So why don't you start, and then we'll go to Councilor Randorf, and then we'll move to our closing comments.
Sounds good. Thanks again so much for having me. Really means a lot that I got to be here today and get to engage in this conversation. And again, my name's DyAnna Grondahl, and I am here because no one should have to go to court or wait for an inspector to get a basic repair done. And I believe this comes down to what kind of city we want to be. Do we want our kids growing up in apartments with leaks that can turn into mold or with rats scurrying across the floor? Do we want renters waiting months for an inspector while bats live in their ceilings and they aren't able to take a hot shower after a hard day's work? Or do we want a Duluth where everyone has a safe and livable home? Right to repair is common sense. It allows renters to fix what is broken quickly, safely, fairly. Your neighbors brought it forward, people who love this city and are tired of waiting. Duluthians take pride in our communities, and we take care of each other. That is what this is about. So, vote yes on question 1 to pass Duluth Right to Repair. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you again, both of you, for hosting this event. It's amazing. Thanks to the DNT and the Chamber for this. I want to also thank the Duluth Tenants Union. It's important to organize, and we love it when people are engaged in our political process and bring forward ideas. So thank you for that. Thank you for Take Action as well. At the end of the day, this debate comes down to one simple question. Who's responsible for keeping rental housing safe and livable? The City Council's ordinance answers this question clearly. It's the landlord. They own the property. They collect the rent. They're responsible for maintaining it. Our ordinance enforces that duty. It gives tenants clear recourse and does so in a way that's fair, enforceable, and legally sound. The ballot measure takes a dangerous detour. By pushing repairs onto the tenant's hands, it creates the illusion of control, but no real protection. If something goes wrong during a repair, a tenant could face lawsuits, crushing debt, or even eviction. That isn't empowerment, that's exposure. Tenants should never be used as a test case for a risky experiment that shifts the responsibility away from landlords. Families deserve safe housing and the assurance that if something breaks, they won't be the ones dragged into court. You're right, we don't want to have to go to court. The city ordinance is the responsible path forward. The ballot measure is a false promise with a dangerous consequence. For the safety of our tenants and the stability of our housing system, the choice in November is clear. Vote no on the ballot measure. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Let's give them a round of applause to say thank you.